You live after the first Symbolic World Summit session, night one. I'm out here in front of St. Nicholas, Greek Orthodox Church here. Pretty overwhelming. I'm trying to rub a few thoughts together here. I think the honest thought is I met a lot of people that, basically everyone, I met everyone. I shook Jordan Peterson's hand. I talked to Peugeot about his suit. I talked to Martin Shaw about Story. I sat next to and I walked out at the end that it get to talk to more people, and I've met some really kind people. But I wanted to come alone, maybe for selfish reasons, maybe not. With and Matthew Parlato. Matthew actually mentioned you tonight at dinner. We were talking about Vervaeke and the Silk Road in a way. Christianity. Peyton, I'm in front of a Greek Orthodox church here in Tarpon Springs, Florida, at a Symbolic World Summit. And anyways, that's honestly how I felt. But I am building friendships and building real relationships. And so maybe that's good. I had a wonderful lunch with a certain Grim Grizz and a wonderful dinner with Nate Heil and Father Joe. And I met their friend Doug and another guy named Paul that I had a spirited conversation with. Get lost in the person's. I look forward to having a chat with you, Matthew. We'll iron out the details in the email. Fun story. We're walking into this bar, and there's a young man, and I feel bad because I can't remember his name, and he already told me. And I'm trying to hold on to names the best that I can. And he was coming out of this dive, and we couldn't tell if it actually looked like a bar or not. It was kind of nice looking on the outside, kind of classy. So we were like, I don't know. And you hear that? Um, and I said, "Is this where a good dive bar?" He goes, "Right in here, right in here." And then he said, so I was watching Dirt Poor Robins and their concert, and the same guy came up to me and said, "Dude, after I talked to you, I went online and I just went to YouTube and I searched Symbolic World Summit, and your video was one of the first that came up." And then he was like, "This whole thing's weird," and I said, "Yeah, it is, and it's got asked a question of AI and the intentions and like what are we making and in this right now, this right here, redeem or reconcile or something. So, anyways, um, what else? What else? I probably annoyed all these people like taking pictures and stuff. I just had to get it out of my system. So maybe other people can annoy them the rest of the weekend. But anyways, any other initial thoughts? Here's an initial thought. As Jonathan Peugeot is giving his big opening remarks in his speech or his talk tonight, I just couldn't help but feel how evangelical it was. He shared the gospel in a sorts and gave hope for the future. Of course, it's like his understanding and vision of the eschaton and of the end is very different from the evangelicalism that he and I probably both grew up in. But he talked about the Son of Man, the Lamb of God, and that is the image that turns the tables upside down, the power structures. And I love you, Megan. Um, yeah, go. Y'all should all go subscribe to her YouTube channel. We'll get our on here someday. From somewhere. Yeah, Evangelion means the good news. Greek Orthodox Church. Yes, Lance. Yes, Lance. Quite a day, man. Quite a day. Yeah, it has been. Um, very strange. Very strange, but so I assume you'll be co-authoring a book with. I'm guessing that's Jordan Peterson. Oh, guys, I did tell Jordan. Okay, so I walked. Here's the Jordan Peterson story. I shook his hand tonight. this is this is kind of embarrassing, but it's funny. Um, I could tell that there were a couple of security guards around. He was watching the concert. He was sitting next to Martin Shaw. I have a picture up on Twitter. Him and Jonathan Peugeot and Richard Rowland, and they were sitting there. And I was paying attention, and I could tell the guy had like the earpiece in, and there was a couple of them stationed around. So I surveyed the situation for several minutes. I did not want to interrupt him if he was enjoying the concert and the time with people that he is already friends with. But there was this other part of me that was like, you only get so many chances in life to do certain things. So I looked over this security guard and I walked up to him and I tapped him on the shoulder. No, not leading in the Divine Liturgy on Sunday. I've not been chrismated or whatever the Orthodox things are. So I tapped Jordan Peterson's bodyguard's the shoulder and I said, if I ask him if I could shake his hand, are you gonna jump me? And I think it kind of, he sat there for a second, he thought, he's like, well, it might be a good time in a few minutes because we're about to leave. I said, okay. And I stepped back and I just decided to just wait and see if maybe that opportunity could happen. And then he turned over and he looked at me, he goes, actually, we're about to leave right now. If you want to, now's a good time. So I stepped forward and I tapped Jordan Peterson on the shoulder. He graciously turned around and looked at me in the eye. And I said, Mr. Peterson, I said, Dr. Peterson. I used to do that to my father-in-law all the time as a doctor. I said, Dr. Peterson, I just want to say thank you for your courage. Thank you for your courage. And then I said, and one more thing. I'm blocked by you on Twitter, and I don't know why. Said, well, okay, so first he said, here's the story. First he said, what's your name? And I said, my name's Christian. And then I said, one more thing. I said, I'm blocked by you on Twitter, and I don't know why. He looked at me. I said, it was nice to meet you. So, Dr. Peterson, probably still blocked by him on Twitter. Dirt Poor Robbins was awesome. It was really cool from like a technical standpoint, a sound tech. They had a DJ as their drummer. They had a keyboardist and a guitarist and a girl singer, and it just made the sound really clean because it was their percussion and stuff was like running off, like samples and not like a live drum kit. And they didn't have any guitar amps and stuff, so it was just a really clean sound, and it was really good. All right, well, I don't know, unless anybody has any other questions about the rest of the day. Actually, Lance, I'm heading home Saturday night, so no Divine Liturgy on Sunday. I'm actually have to plan a liturgy for my church. Love you too, man. I look forward to talking to you on the phone, Matthew. I'll just shoot off on this right now. Jordan Hall and John Vervaeke released a conversation yesterday, the first public conversation they've held since Jordan became a Christian, and John. I'm going to hold an opinion in. I don't know these people, but commentary on certain things, it seems like when it's personal, or if you kind of know them. So, what I will say, this guy on here, Matthew Parlato, because the first time I was on a stream with him, he talked about, he was using 4 P's of knowing and everything, but he said he had become a Christian and that Vervaeke was his, and I would hope that Vervaeke would be encouraged, like what he did is working, and I don't know what was an amazing piece of art. Oh, you're talking about their conversation. Thank you, David. I am enjoying. Yeah, it made me think of Matthew. It made me think of a real person that John Vervaeke's work this highly technical vocabulary and super broad um, categories brought a young man back to the church, dragged me by the nose back home. And then I met another guy who has had conversations with uh, some of these guys. Like he talked to Jordan Hall like 3 or 4 years ago, and he's from here or this area, and and he told me that he has studied like Tai Chi and Tao, but he's a Christian. He's a Greek Orthodox Christian, and how he embodied, like we talked about the way, the truth, and the life, and like I talked to about truth, and then we were talking about the way, like a physical way of knowing, of experiencing, and finding a path of truth with your body. And I'm hoping that I can have a conversation with him, a podcast with him in the future. We talked about it, and he got me thinking about some other things in my life, about my job actually. His wife is a nurse, and I'm a nurse. We talked about healing and care. So, anyways, guys, I hope that the documentation on the zeets, on the tweets, on the Twitter were um, allowed everyone to kind of virtually take part. Just came to say hero. Hero. How about that? Hero? I don't know. Neil, I watched your Friday Fragments comedy routine with the mustache. You're a wild man. It's fun what this stuff's bringing out of people. Anyways, um, all right, I'm gonna sign this thing out, and maybe tomorrow we'll do another one. Thanks for making me feel virtually not alone.